There we go. Whew. Alright. Nixon, thank you. Of course, and as always, I forget to check that my audio's working before we start. Anyways, I guess I'll just cut that out of the start of the live stream whenever I can later. Welcome back to another live stream repair. We are back again. We've got a whole bunch of broken pods to fix. Before we jump in, we're going to take a quick look at this Nike Fuel Band from Oscar. Doesn't do anything, and well, we're going to take a quick look, a quick and easy look, and if it's not a quick and easy, then we might crack it open later and see if it's like a battery issue, which is most likely the case here. After this, we've got a whole bunch of HomePods. We've got a few that succeeded with the software restore and have opted for the hardware maintenance. We got a couple with no power, some with bass/DC filter issues. It's going to be a fun day. So, let's jump into this. I'm actually just going to really quick sanity check our symptoms. I'm going to plug this into my desktop over here and see what happens. Do we get any Windows USB sounds? Do we get the ba-bum? Ba-bum. Ba-ba-bum. Nah, we don't got nothing. You don't get any signs of life. It's not lighting up. It's not making my computer do the beep boops. One thing I noticed is the USB port is pretty grody. Let's give that a quick clean and see if that's all it takes. Cool. I'm gonna drip a little more in there. That's just 99% isopropyl alcohol. And I've got some fine tweezers here to work this out a little bit. We're gonna scratch these pads up so it removes any oxidation. Gives us a better connection if that's all that's going on here. This camera feels really laggy. Let me fix it. And deactivate. Reactivate. That's much better. And so let's just a little bit of rubbing alcohol, a little scratchy here and there. Alright. Is that all that it needs? I doubt it. No. Same exact symptoms. I don't hear nothing. Okay. Figured it wouldn't be that easy. Let's get the battery out really quick. See if it just needs a quick little boost here. What is this one? T3, T5. Ah, it's a T5. Hey, there's a battery. Does that just come right? That is surprisingly easy. Is there another battery behind this door? Oscar, what is up, mate? Glad you could make it. Oh, there's your problem right there. Wow. We have got, so, 2 batteries. One on this side. And then a very crusty one on this side. There's your problem. That right there will do it. And it looks like it just solders in and out of there. So here's what we're gonna do. Gosh, I should have done this sooner, but we're gonna do a little bit of research and see if we can't find a replacement battery. Interestingly enough, it doesn't look like a custom battery necessarily. It just looks like a regular flat lithium ion that they bent to fit. You can tell by the way it's creased right here. And yeah, cool. Well, I love a good smoking gun. Another thing that we can do, I can, once we figure out what these batteries run at, we can inject some voltage into this device and make sure that it works before buying ourselves a battery for it. I'm going to put the parts, put all this up here off to the side for now. We're going to find out after the stream. I'm sure we can get our hands on some replacement batteries for that guy. And it'll be a piece of cake to swap those out. Let's move on to some HomePods. We're gonna do number 3870 here. We were able to restore their software last night with a USB adapter on both of their pods. Look at that, they had 2 of them. And let's see if they opted for the hardware maintenance. Yes, they did. Alright, let's shoot them a quick message so they can watch. Okay. It was working. The problem is it was generally couldn't make it work plugging into the computer. The software was not working. So for me, it's not working at all now. I have a feeling all that corrosion between the USB port and the battery, it's not going to turn, well, it's probably got a few things going on. I have a feeling that USB port was a little too dirty to give a good enough connection to your computer, but we can't even get it turning on here. So it's probably going to need a new battery, but what we're going to do is look up that model of the battery, see its specs, and then we can inject the same voltage into the watch just to get it to turn on. We can then plug it into a computer, and hopefully that we can then sanity check that it's all working. Then we can order a replacement battery. If it still doesn't turn on with voltage injection, or if it turns on but it still didn't connect to our computer with voltage injection, then we might be at a bit of an impasse. We might need to see if we can't. It doesn't actually look like you can tear it apart any further, so. But I feel a good 50-50 on it. We'll see. We'll see once we stick some voltage into it. All right. Let's jump into 3870's first of two pods here. Ooh, my hands are sore from last night. That was a lot of pods. I'm still surprised we got all of those done. And it feels wild to be sitting here doing more of them. Oh dang, Stefan's power's going in and out. Just saw that. Wonder what's going on there. Today was supposed to be the last day that he can stop by for our streams before the end of the month. I think he's gonna be busy heading out on a trip or something. Can't remember. Did I quit my day job? No. Also, welcome back, John. 3 streams in 24 hours, yeah. Crazy, but we did start pretty late yesterday. We did also have a stream at midnight, and we did, I mean, if I was working, I'm not right now. I actually took this weekend, the weekend off from my day job, because I'm going to Open Sauce, and I wanted, I always like to take a few extra days as like a little buffer for time off if I'm ever traveling anywhere. Worst case, I've got extra time to just relax at home, decompress. Best case, it's extra time I needed it to account for any unexpecteds. But I still got my day job. I'm just tapping into some of my paid time off, finally. I almost never take time off. And even if, I technically only have to work like 8 hours a day there, I am almost always keeping an eye on various chats, and I've got my phone on me, so I've got people calling and messaging me all the time from there that need help with stuff. I'm very often working more than 8 hours a day for them. But on the flip side, we have the flexibility to sit down here and knock out some other work. I mean, granted, I clock in really early so that way I can clock out really early. but I do still keep tabs and tend to jump in and try to help as much as I can after I clock out. That is quite often why. I mean, that's the two biggest determinators for when I start my stream for the day are: am I done with everything I need to do for my day job, and or are things relatively calm enough for me to step away? And of course, the wife and kid. Whatever they need, they always come first. I'm usually helping my wife with the kid. Just trying to keep the kid occupied or growing their brain a little bit, or helping her get her ready so they can go out and run errands. Ooh, and she'll be starting her wife will be starting her job soon. That's gonna be fun. The plan to work around that, I'm gonna set up a sort of streaming setup in the living room, so that way we can work out there and watch the kid at the same time. And my wife seems like she's gonna be getting evening shifts quite often, so it works out perfectly. I can focus on my day job while my wife is at home watching the kid in the morning. And then when my wife heads to work, I can, that's usually when I get off work. Actually, it'll be a while after I get off work, but enough time for us to hang out for a little bit before wife heads out, and I bore my kid with all the HomePod repairs for the day. You guys will be getting a lot more of the kiddos soon, is what I'm getting at. Alright, for hardware maintenance on these HomePods that excuse me. The 7-Up always goes down the wrong freaking man. I was saying, one second. As I was saying, hardware maintenance for these pods that seem to have just been taken down by faulty software and successfully restored with our USB adapter. It's optional, but what it entails is a replacement set of these DC filters, since they all naturally go bad or, due to low quality, prematurely fail and lead to death farts and all sorts of base issues and physical damage on these components. Stuff that wasn't expecting to see amplified DC voltage, essentially. And then we look out for a certain date range of these diodes. They love to fail and cause no power. That's one of those 2 date codes we look out for, 1748K. The other one is 46K. They were a back-to-back bad batch of these diodes that are failing under normal conditions and causing no power. So we'll get that replaced with a brand new one that won't give them that issue. Give them another reason to send it in to us here in the future. And between those 2 parts, that should cover like at least 90% of what goes wrong with these pods. And it's most likely going to be the majority of the same stuff that we replaced to fix everyone else today. Be it no power or death farts or issues with the base, they're all gonna essentially get the same work done here. Pretty nice to have a pretty simplified repair process where there are various common issues, but you replace a number of components and you can prevent the majority of things from happening. Make it a nice, happy, long-lasting HomePod. Be it maintenance or repair, it's usually the same parts we're replacing. Usually. Gives us quite a bit of confidence in knowing that most of these aren't going to come back to us. And here we are, 4 years and certainly more than 4,000 HomePods later. Only a handful of returns have had to come back to us. Every single one of them has been just a simple, silly mistake on our part. There was one time we were getting pretty desperate for DC filters. We had placed 2 orders, and both orders had gotten delayed so far that I resorted to ordering filters, those capacitors, off Amazon. Boy, was that a mistake. Sure, it seemed to fix things there and then, but I ended up having to take. I ended up using those filters in about 8 to 12 HomePods, and I had to take every single one of them back. They only lasted a few weeks, maybe a few months. Usually, warranty returns are physical damage from shipping or the HomePod bricks itself again. Those ones are tricky. We can sit here and test and maintain it all we want, but every once in a while, we get one of these with the blinkies or the boot loops or the eternal boots. And whether it takes a software restore and tests fine, or didn't take a software restore and needed a replacement logic board, eventually, it ended up blinking again, or boot looping again. And we had to take it back and replace the logic board again, or what have you. They can be tricky, especially with those logic board failures causing the blinkies and boot loops, because many of those failures are caused by the solder balls, the BGA, that connects the storage chip or the CPU, one of the two. Since there are so many solder balls and so much thermal stress and heat cycles of expanding and contracting, plus the vibration from the subwoofer right below it, it's asking for things to crack and corrode over time. And only fail intermittently. So it may work again here and now, and then it just hits the right conditions to finally no longer make a good enough connection again. Thankfully, though, those are far and few enough in between that it's not breaking our business supporting those warranties. It still sucks, but someone's gotta do it. TXLV. Welcome, welcome. You met me in Vallage a few weeks ago. I remember you. I bumped into this fella while I was out looking for junk to buy. Y'all know me, I'm a junk man. Ran into this fella who found quite a nice stack of MacBooks, and I think they found like a Mac, or a ThinkPad Carbon, like an X1 or something like that. Pretty nice machine. How did those what did you end up actually picking up? How did those turn out for you? Works fine, but with a cooled battery. Like, you gotta keep the battery cool or it shuts back off. Where can you get the IPSW? Diego Goodness Garcia. Welcome, welcome. I link to the current restorable IPSW file in the GitHub guide. There should be a link towards the top. I've also got a link to it on my website. If you go to nixfix.com, I've got the link down there in the bottom right there. nixfix.com, and then click on known issues at the top. And then look at the common issue for blinking volume buttons. I have a link for the IPSW there as well. Only 3 cycles, but completely flat. Dang. Kind of strange that it only says it's got 3 cycles. I wonder if that gets reset if it gets so flat. Thrown out by Cisco. I wonder if you were able to gather what kind of Cisco employee in particular. Was it some kind of engineer, or was it more of like a customer facing role, or all right. Let's see. Same deal with this one here. It had, I remember last night, these ones were booting eternally. They would just sit here and spin forever. We used our handy dandy 3D printable USB restore adapter to reload the software. And we'll crack this open here and now to prevent the most common hardware issues with it, just like their other one. Here we go. Dang, I was hoping that laptop would have some fun, like, Cisco management software on it. I've got a friend that works at Xfinity. I'm showing my age here. And they, on rare occasion, will get their hands on old equipment that's being thrown out, and they'll throw it my way so I can play around with it. I'm not a huge network nerd, but I do like to play around with stuff here and there and explore and learn what's possible and what I can do and how I can make my stuff work better. Forwards ports directly to my server, no DMZ, no VLANs, just raw dogging it. Oh, you already wiped it? It's probably for the best. It's probably for the best. Anytime I get my hands on a used laptop, the first thing I do, if I want to snoop around, I don't really like to, but if I really want to for some reason, before I even turn it on, I make sure I've got any wireless radio or module that I can disconnected. And then I boot it up. Actually, if I can, I'll connect the hard drive to an external machine and back up the files to that, and then poke around in a isolated VM. But otherwise, if none of that's possible, then I poke around real quick, and then I wipe that sucker ASAP. Because even if it doesn't have any kind of like CompuTrace or anything on it, you don't know what kind of plain Jane, just regular old Windows applications they have installed, be it managed by IT and or shady stuff and viruses and malware that they may have acquired over their use. In any case, good on you for wiping it sooner than later. You never know if Cisco's gonna come kicking your door down asking for it, or trying to sue you for poking around the files. It has pictures of anime. Very nice. You work in a blood lab. Oh. I do get quite a lot of students, like used student laptops. That makes sense though, given the area. Just a kid. Yep. Well, that won't stop a big old company from scaring your mom and dad. I mean, not that any of that's, based on my experience, not that any of that's gonna happen. You generally have to be like, actually have nefarious intent and be like actively trying to do something to harm the company for them to notice, let alone care and do anything to you about any of it. More often they're just upset that the IT process fell through if it's got any sensitive data on it, for it to have been donated without being scrubbed is a pretty big no-no, pretty big oopsie. ...2008 Steam, wow. Not that you'd be able to tell much of the visual difference, LMAO. Alright, y'all know the drill. We'll start with a new set of DC filters. They love to go bad and cause death farts and stinky subwoofer speakers. Very nice. ...2012 and 2015 base MacBook Air with dead batteries. Hey man, cheap aluminum is cheap aluminum. I'm the kind of guy that'll, if anything, just stick it on the shelf and admire it until I feel like, or until the day comes I happen across more parts to cobble together a working MacBook. I mean, batteries, right? They all, with age, it's less and less chance you'll come across a used good one, but at the very least, they'll be very handy machines for making and restoring other MacBooks. Because if you've ever tried fixing a MacBook before, you'll know the number one rule about fixing MacBooks is you have to have another working MacBook. Alright, a new diode to prevent the old one from going bad and causing no power. It's on its way back together. $50 for a battery. Seems kind of steep, yeah. But if that's just the running rate for batteries of that size, is the premium specifically because of the form factor to fit 2010 to 2017 models? Or have batteries in general just gotten that expensive? Yeah, true. You think that would make the batteries cheaper, since there should be more of them. Yeah, you got a good price on those laptops too. They were not the ones that I got stuck with were not great deals, I'll put it that way. But I'll pay that much for what I got instead of paying about as much for one from eBay that's gonna get shipped and busted up and shipping to me. And I didn't actually have a white plastic MacBook up until that point. I was quite happy to see that one. Actually, it came with the Snow Leopard recovery, like the OEM Snow Leopard recovery disc inside of it. So I reinstalled Snow Leopard, and it seems to work great. The battery, believe it or not, works seemingly perfectly fine. The only flaw that it really has is the case is just yellowed. But I might spoil it, since it treated me well. I might get a new case for it and make it nice and pretty again. Oh, dude, don't even feel bad for me. If you want to feel bad for me, you don't. Then you want to hear what happened to us right after that. So we got in our car. We did find a whole bunch of. We got some good stuff. I think I did get that GameCube. I got that GameCube. It came with the controller and all the cables. That's my first GameCube. I don't have a GameCube, and now I do. What else did I get? I got a Game Boy. I got a translucent green Game Boy Color, like an original translucent green Game Boy Color with the case, like the OEM case, the carrying case. I grabbed a couple games for it. And then, well, anyways, we load up, we get in the car. We drive over to H Mart, and as we're pulling into the parking spot, the car dies. And so I ring up AAA, and there's no way, they tell me there's no way that they can tow me home and accommodate me, my wife, and my kid. Alright? I can't get the car working. So my wife decides that she is actually going to hoof it home. And it's like, I think we're like 10 miles away from home. So she maps out a bus route, and she takes public transit. And I mean, it takes her 2 hours to get home, but she took the kid and she public transited home, no problem. She got home before I could even get a tow truck out to me, even though I explained to AAA what was going on. I was like, hey, my wife is currently walking our 2-year-old kid home right now. If you guys wouldn't mind noting that, so that way you might be able to get someone out to me sooner. That way I can run home and pick my wife and kid up, so they're not... It got pretty sketchy because she missed a bus stop. Or she missed a bus, and the next one wasn't coming until like an hour later, and everywhere around her had just closed. I think it was like 8 or 9 o'clock at night, and it was starting to get dark, and like just perfect storm everything. And AAA was like, okay, yeah, we'll try to get someone out to you as soon as possible so you can get home and pick up your wife and kid, right? And it took them like 3 hours to get out to me. By the time they got out to me, my wife and kid made it home. And had been long settled in. But when they got to me, when the tow truck got to me, dude, that tow truck driver, a maniac. I thought I was a crazy driver. I thought I was going to have a heart attack. Cause this guy, man, he's like going 45 to 55 through like 25 and 30 mile an hour zones. He's freaking, he literally has no concept of lane lines. So he's constantly in other people's lanes. And my poor right-hand drive twin turbo 1990 Nissan 300ZX hanging off the back of this tow truck for dear life. They didn't even bring a flatbed, even though I told them. I didn't tell them. I asked them. I understand I was asking a lot from them, but I did give them priorities. It was like the most important thing is that I get home as soon as possible. If also, a flatbed would be nice, but not required. Anyways, this dude driving like a maniac with he's pulling my car on his tow truck dolly. It's a 2-wheel tow. So he's got the back wheels of my Z hiked up and the front of the car down. And it's like, make sure the steering wheel's locked. So that way it doesn't steer itself and freaking veer. Gosh. I was for sure that the freaking we were gonna get in an accident where the car was gonna fly off the tow truck and get wrecked. But that dude made a 10-minute drive out of what should have taken like 25 minutes. Not that it mattered, my wife was already home for an hour, but hey. We made it. And I got the car fixed. And then it proceeded to break itself again. And I got it fixed again. And then I figured out that the reason why it kept breaking was because people keep selling me new parts that are broken from the factory or not made for the car that they told me it was made for. But we got it. We're good. Oh, and the most, the coolest part was when he got to my house, I was like, you can just drop it in the street and I'll push it into my driveway. But this absolute unit of a tow truck driver backed it into my driveway. Like, essentially how it looks now is how he dollied the car back into the driveway. It was insane. It was just one single move. He didn't have to pull forward and back up and pull forward and back up and turn and do a dance. It was just one swift, clean back up into the driveway. He dropped it. Oh, the funny thing is I pay for like AAA, like 100-mile range towing, right? But I guess actually you only get 5 miles, and the tow was 5 miles outside of the range that my membership covers. I don't understand that, but whatever, I'll figure that out one day. And so before he left, he was like, yeah, so the tow was out of range. So, and I knew it was going to be, because as soon as I made the call to AAA and asked for the tow, they said that this was going to be out of range, and I just didn't feel like arguing with them about it right there. I was expecting it to be like hundreds of dollars, but the dude was like, yeah, that'll be $15. And I was like, well, make it 20. Here you go. And what hurts the most? Man, that car has been through the ringer. But I trust no one else's hands on any of my cars anymore. I do it all myself now. I've always done my own oil changes and brakes and small things here and there, and then it became power modifications and how do I make the car faster and faster and faster. And then it became, oh shit, look at all this stuff I'm breaking on my car now because I'm making so much power. Transmission, various, driveline components, and more complicated internal engine repairs and upgrades. It's gotten to the point there is not a single thing I will not do on my car. If I have to rebuild the transmission, if I have to rebuild the air conditioning, or if I have to swap a whole engine out, heck, even if I have to pull the existing engine and rebuild it and put it back in. I'm not afraid anymore. I'd really rather not, but I'd rather do it myself if I have to than trust someone else to do it and mess it up and then not take responsibility. Or if anything, just that like uncertainty of like, is this new problem certainly caused by someone else's mistake? I don't like that. I'd rather at least know for sure that it's my fault, and it's easier for me to know if I'm the one that did everything to it. I think that's one of the biggest problems in the world. people are becoming less and less self-sufficient. And like, don't get me wrong, I'm not talking about people not wanting to pick up a soldering iron and fix their own HomePods. You know, we've all got things that we're better at and not so good at, and things that we want to and need to spend our time on, and we don't need to be subject matter experts in anything and everything that we need to do. But far too often, it seems people just want to be lazy instead of doing a little bit of research or a little bit of trial and error. Or when something breaks, they basically just freak out instead of fix it, or at least try. It's like, this thing broke, I tried nothing. Well, and again, I'm not talking specifically about HomePod repairs in general, but I do get a lot of people that email me that are like, hey, my HomePod doesn't power on, how do I fix it? And it's like, I've got a dedicated website and video guides and all this. Did you literally Google how to fix a HomePod that won't power on? Of course you didn't. You Googled HomePod repair, found my name, it's wild that people will put more effort into trying to get a hold of me to waste my time duplicating effort that I've already produced, when they could spend less effort doing a little bit of research and finding the information that's already out there. They just want to waste everyone's time. But they don't obviously want to. It's best to assume that people are doing things out of ignorance than malintent, right? But still, it grinds. Timbo TK, hey, what is up? What is up? They want the answer without doing any work involved with getting the answer themselves. That is usually spot on. Also, welcome, Shuffle Hands. It looks like our time might be coming to an end soon. I know this was a short stream, but hey, if you really need more, we did have 2 other streams in the past 24 hours. We've fixed more than 20 HomePods in the past 20 hours, not including everything that we've... Actually, that is including everything, because these were all just maintenance. Yeah, we fixed about 22 HomePods here, just more or less, in the past 24 hours. There's plenty for you to sink your teeth into, and I think what we're actually going to do, as soon as my wife gets home here, we're going to head off and take a little break, relax, try to recuperate some energy from staying up till 4 in the morning fixing these darn things. And then we're going to come back later this well, it's already 3 o'clock. Later this evening, I'm going to try to set up a little stream in the living room, and we can hang out with the wife and kid and try to fix a bunch more HomePods here, because I really do not want anyone waiting for things to get fixed while I'm out of town for open sauce this weekend. Especially however many that are still waiting to get fixed at this point. I'd like to get through everything so I can just relax and not worry about it while I'm out. We'll see how it goes. We'll see what happens. Oh yeah, and the things that people donate to thrift stores. I see so much of the stuff that they haven't even brought in yet that people have dropped off. And it's just, it makes me want to work there to get first pickings. I would literally never get a paycheck though, because I'd just be buying so much stuff. But I imagine there's probably some malarkey that employees can't touch any merchandise until it hits the floor and they're not on shift. I don't know. I will Google it later. I will do my research. I'm curious. Yeah, the $6 Mac Mini. Yep. A couple of visits ago at the same Value Village, there was a guy that was walking around with 2 shopping carts full of, like, clearly a bunch of really good stuff. But, like, he was there when we showed up. Between my wife and kid and I, we can sometimes take our time, but we were there for 30, 40 minutes, and he was still there when we left. And half the time, he was literally just standing there, waiting for them to bring another set of bins out, so he could immediately... He found where they were bringing the bins out, and started stopping employees, so that he could look at them right there, before anyone else. And like, man, and the employees don't care. What do they care? At the end of the day, the stuff gets sold. That's all they want, right? Who cares if it's getting sold to a scalper or someone that just wants to have it, to experience it for the first time, or collect it, or make content on it to share it with other people? No. I'm so sick of scalpers. One day I may just snap and end up taking one of their carts from them. Just straight up. I'll just take their entire cart of stuff and check out and buy it all and go home with it. It's mine. This is all mine now. Thanks. Thanks for finding it all for me. Appreciate it. I don't know how to feel about it as a thing that let alone so many people are doing. Like, you and I are not the same. You see a valuable at the thrift store, and you think of how much profit you can make off it. I see a valuable at the thrift store, and I'm thinking of how much money I'm saving buying it for myself or buying it for my kid or my wife, right? Same person there every other Thursday. Goodness. We may even be talking about the same person. That'd be hilarious. Well, folks, my wife is very close to home. So close, in fact, that I don't have time to crack open another one here and now. We'll be back, fingers crossed, later this evening to fix up a bunch more. It'll be slow but steady work, and we'll catch up for sure here. Folks, I hope you all enjoyed this live stream repair. TXLV, it was very nice meeting you in the chat. It was nice meeting you in Value Village, and I hope to catch you and everyone here in another one very soon.